Good morning, good morning, good morning. The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, and you are breathing. Today is Wednesday, December the 13th, 2023. My name is Stephen Carnegie, and welcome to This Is Just a Thought. Hey, before I go any further, I would like to ask you all to hit that like and subscribe button if you are returning or if you are a new listener. Hey, hit that like and subscribe button, hit that bell also so you can get notified when I drop these podcasts. Keep you in the loop. Hey, there's going to be a lot of interesting topics, I can promise you. Some you may like, some you may not like. So, hey, get in that comment section. Let me know what you think. Or maybe there's something that you would like for me to talk about that I really haven't talked about. Let me know. Hey, like I always say, I'm pretty thick skinned. I won't bite. Not physically, anyway. Verbally, I may. Or, I mean, hey, I am one of those. I don't believe my word is it. It is always subject to change. I am a human being. We never know which way the wind blows. So I won't blow a stack. I won't put you on blast. Please don't counsel me. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Hey, like I said, a lot of these topics that I come up with, because I've been asked, where do you get these topics? Hey, it's right out of the news. It just is. There's no special place. There's no concrete system that I have in place. You never know what I'll talk about. And like the title of this podcast is, this is just a thought with Stephen Cornegay. Just my thought. Hey, it just is. It just is. So yeah, hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that bell so you can get notified when I drop these podcasts. Keep you in the loop. Hey, let's move along here, man. Hey, today's word of the day: flout, which means to treat with contemptuous behavior. Flout. Man, I hope everyone is enjoying that Wednesday. Midweek swing, hump day. We've almost made it through the work week. Man, I gotta be honest, it's been a long 3 days. It just seems like it's dragging out, but hey, I think that's a good thing. I mean, so who wants, sometimes we don't need that quick, fast week. Sometimes it's good just to, hey, go through it and just see, hey, where it ends at the end of the week. But yeah, it is hump day. Man, weather here in North Carolina, not too bad. Predicted today in the mid 50s. But of course, at night, those temperatures drop down into the 20s, and that's going to continue the rest of the week until we see some rain once again on Sunday. Looks like we're going to have some more rain. Then, of course, with that rain, the temperatures are going to go up into the 50s and 60s. So that's a plus. But yeah, at night, man, it drops down. It drops down in the low 20s. That freezing when you wake up and you go outside first thing in the morning, the frost looks like snow. It's on the ground. And of course, like I told you guys Monday, that old wise tale. A lot of folks are talking about it. That thunder that came through, a thunderstorm that came through Sunday. A lot of folks are saying, hey, we're going to see some snow 10 to 14 days just in time for Christmas. If it happens, that's a plus. That is a plus. Certainly I wouldn't mind seeing some snow on Christmas here in North Carolina. Other parts of the country, hey, it's a given, but it really doesn't. Truthfully, doesn't happen like that here in North Carolina. I believe it's been what 10 years or maybe even more that we actually saw some snow on Christmas Day, and that wasn't enough. I believe it was just a dusting, if that. If that. But hey, maybe we will see it. Maybe there will be. Maybe we'll wake up Christmas morning to some snow. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? All right, moving along here, man. Monday, Monday night, of course, was football. Monday night football. Um, Two great games and two shockers. The Green Bay Packers versus the New York Football Giants. The Giants won. They won 24 to 22, last second field goal. Who knew the Giants had it in them? Well, their starting quarterback Jones is out for the season, injured, so they bought in a backup. I don't even think he was a backup, to be honest with you. The guy by the name of DeVito. No one has ever heard of him. But he's been playing pretty well. I got to admit, he does. He's gotten looks like he's getting better. He's doing what he's checking his reads. He's checking down. He's and it worked for him Monday night. Uh, I gotta say, I was surprised, and I know those Green Bay fans are surprised too because it was a shocker. Jordan Love, he fought. He did all he could, just couldn't pull it out. Man, this guy, DeVito, by the way, still stays at home with Ma and Pa. And to which he says, hey, we're a big family. We're happy. They're celebrating the highs and the lows. Well, I guarantee they were celebrating Monday night. And he said, hey, Mom is a great cook. She cooks some great chicken cutlets. Ew. Wow, Green Bay couldn't happen to a nicer team. No, I'm not a Green Bay Packers fan. I am a Chicago Bears fan. So, hey, couldn't happen to a nicer squad. Yeah, I said that. I said that. And in the other game, this was a shocker. I mean, it was even more shocking than the Packers Giants game. I was watching both, flipping back and forth. Man, the Miami Dolphins were defeated by the Tennessee Titans. Titans won 28-27. Once again, last second. Um, Miami, man, I guess they just didn't play like they should because Tyreek Hill, he got injured. He has an ankle injury, and he's been listed as day to day. But wow, who would have known Tennessee would have beaten the Miami Dolphins? And of course, uh, my guy Derrick Henry, he still continues to roll. He is a man beast amongst boys. Haven't really talked about him that much. Really haven't heard anything about him this year because the squad Tennessee is losing. So when a team starts losing, you really don't hear that much about their stars. But I've still been following Derrick Henry, and he's still looking good. Hall of Fame, it's not even a question. It's just not. He is a good running back. He runs hard every single down. And as for the Miami Dolphins, wow, with Tyreek Hill, I mean, they do have some more players. Waddle, we're not going to forget about Waddle, but if he's listed day to day, you got to wonder, will he be able to play again this week or whatever, what have you? We'll see. We will see. Yeah, that Green Bay New York game, that was pretty good. Pretty good. And if you know, then you know. Hey, you get no quarrels from me when the Packers lose. You just don't. You just don't. Hey, what is going on in the NBA with Draymond Green? Man, this guy. Uh, at one point in time, he was liking to Dennis Rodman. Yeah, he was. Yes, he is. He's a very hard defensive player, and he does get under people's skin. But hell, even Dennis Rodman knew when to stop. This guy, he's guarding or he's guarding or whatever, what have you, this player for the Dallas Mavericks the other night. I can't remember the player's name right off the top of my head, but it looked like they were just in a good old fashioned defensive offensive battle. Then he turns around, hauls off, and hits the guy right in the jaw. Gets thrown out of the game. Like I said, he is a hard defensive player. He goes after every ball with all his heart. You get no quarrels from me about that. That's rare in this day and age. I'm sorry. A lot of guys in the NBA, they don't play defense, but he's one of those rarities that does. But he's screwing up too much because this isn't his first incident. Sometime last month he got into it also. Same thing. Fighting. Why? What in the world? What is his major malfunction? Now some are saying, hey, he might have a problem. Maybe he does. But man, you got to calm down, homie. Because my thing is, at some point in time, with all of your aggression or your hard play, if you could call it that, either or aggression or hard play, you're going to cost the team a big victory that they may need. You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. You got to know when to use it and when not to use it. The other night or last night, that was just too much for me. I mean, if you see the replay, I mean, he just hauled off and hit the guy right in the jaw. What was that? You got to calm down, homie. You just do. You really do. And of course, this goes without saying. Of course, the NBA is going to fine them. They just are, and they might even suspend them. I mean, it seems like every so often, every month or every however many weeks, you're getting into it with other players. And when it comes to the point, you're just not getting technical fouls. You're getting ejected from the games. Once again, you're going to cost your team a victory they may need to move forward. You just may, just may. And of course, you guys, hey, like I told you, the LA Lakers, they won that mid-season tournament in the LA Faithful. This is why I said I won't jump on that bandwagon just yet. LA came back and played, and they lost. LeBron looked good. And Anthony Davis is listed as day to day also with a groin injury. Old brittle bones, old brittle muscles now. Um, that end season tournament, mid season tournament, it's a good idea. But I don't think that's going to ultimately determine who wins that NBA championship. It's just not. It's just not. It's good. And I understand that the LA Faithful has been so long since we had an NBA championship, a real old NBA championship. I'm not talking about during COVID when we were, they were in that dome. I'm talking about a good old fashioned NBA championship. It's been a while. It just has. It just has. So we'll see what happens with the Lakers. And more importantly, we'll see what happens with Draymond Green. Man, cut it out. Cut it out. Come on. Like I said, a lot of folks compared him to Dennis Rodman. Yeah, Dennis Rodman used to get down like that too. But hey, like I said, even he knew when to hold him and when to fold him. He knew if he was getting too riled up and it was going to cost his team the game. He knew how to sit back and relax. I think you got to learn that, Mr. Green. Mr. Green. Does he have a problem with aggression? Maybe. I really don't think so. I think it's just his style of basketball. I mean, it works until it doesn't work. So yeah, you got to change some ways, man. You got to change your ways, homie. You really do. You're getting in way too much trouble. Way too much trouble. All right, let's move along here, man. This is an update of sorts. Like I told you guys last month about Argentina and their inflation that was rapidly approaching now they're saying is rapidly approaching near 200%. I believe the exact number was like 146.4% inflation. Well, it appears. I told you they got a new president that came in. He vowed he was going to change things. He was going to do this, that, yada, yada, yada. His approach, the start of his approach is being welcomed now. Got to put my specs on for this one because he's getting a little bit of praise, and as opposed to those who the outgoing the outgoing president who was pretty much bashing them along with some other South American countries, Bolivia, Colombia, and then you had New Mexico, which I asked even then, why is New Mexico chiming in with all their problems? I think they should just sit back, relax, and let things roll. They got way too much going on in their own country to be running their mouth about somebody else that is coming in that quite possibly could change the way Argentina is just not ran, but help that economy. Yeah, when you got a near 200% inflation rate and your citizens, they can't afford to eat, shelter, clothes, and they're out working every day and it ain't working. It is time for a change. So it's been announced. Apparently he has a plan that he's going to tout this morning that his finance minister was talking about yesterday that he's going to combat this inflation, and what he has allowed or they have allowed to do is for the peso to drop nearly 50%, and the market welcomed the change. At one point in time, 10 years ago, for almost a decade, the peso, it was right up there with the US dollar. And then it started to fail, falter. So they're trying to get that back. They have to. Like I said, 146% inflation rate? Are you serious? Are you kidding me? So how is he going to do it? Now he's touting this plan, and he's come out with this plan. He says, first of all, he's going to slash energy subsidies checks. He's going lot of countries, and the U.S. has to do it also. A lot of European countries, they have to stop and put a halt to all these subsidies, checks, and funding that are just going out to any and everyone. And you got to ask yourself, is that really helping the economy with all this free money just roaming around, just being handed out? No, it's not. Not in the grand scheme of things. It just isn't. So he's came in. He says he's going to slash these energy subsidies. Hmm. Okay. And he's going to cut the size of the government. That's a biggie. So a lot of these government officials that have these cushy jobs where they're getting these checks and they pretty much ain't doing nothing. I mean, they can't be doing too much when you got an economy. There's an inflation rate that is just that high, and your citizens, let's be honest with each other, they can't afford to live. They're hurting. So hey, he's got to come in and cut some funding somewhere somehow. Start with your government. There's probably quite possible there's a lot of overspending, and that overspending obviously comes from these government jobs. So a lot of these government officials, they're going to be butt out. Maybe they need to be. And he's going to halt public work tenders. That's another thing when money's just being handed out to your government. And they're supposed to be doing things with the infrastructure, and apparently it's not happening. So yeah, this guy's coming in with a bang. Like I said, he is been welcomed by the by those in the government, because what has happened with that market, they're saying that the market is approving or rising. When I say market, the financial market, it's rising, and not only is it rising, but they seem to approve of his plan because it's reflecting in how the market's doing. If they didn't like him, that peso would go down even lower. But that's just what you have to do sometimes. You got to come in, shake things up, let that currency fall to build it up. It looks like, and he's been welcomed with open arms. I wonder what the rest of those countries, before that were running their mouth, saying, this guy, he's bad for business. He's against democracy. He's a dictator. Rah, 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 shish, boom, bah. Well, like I said then, and I'll say it again, yeah, you guys' style of government isn't working. There's a lot of overspending. Your citizens are struggling to live, to eat, to have shelter, to have clothes on their back. You got to try something new. You got to try something different. The old way ain't working. And hey, like the citizens have spoken. They wanted this guy in. They said at some point in time, I'm sure they said to themselves, hey, this ain't working. We got to try something different. And maybe the proof is in the pudding, because it looked like I said, he's getting some approval. A lot of folks are standing behind him. All right, let's move along here, man. Hey, a report has came out, and it's really not anything new. It's just the fact that now they're really targeting that. Obviously, I think after COVID, I honestly think those in the mental health profession, which they knew, and now they have the numbers to back it up, are seeing problems with teenagers, and more specifically teenagers in the age group of 13 to 17 with social media. We've heard it before. We knew and we know that this is a huge problem with our kids, our teenagers, being on social media all the time. And what they're saying now is these social media algorithms are affecting teens' mental health. We heard it before. Now, there's a state's top policy group that has come out, and they've released some numbers and released some findings on children's welfare as it relates to mental health and social media and the algorithms they are receiving. Now, we all know that Facebook at one point in time, when these numbers, when they started to ask questions, and they were horned in and targeted on social media and Facebook, we all know Facebook Meta World came out and said, hey, we're looking at the same thing also. We're going to target and horn in and cut all these algorithms out that cater to these kids that may affect their mental health as far as wanting to do harm for themselves to themselves, or whatever or what have you. But like I said, these numbers and what this finding has discovered is that there really is a problem with kids and social media. The amount of time they spend on social media and the algorithms that are put out there that is consuming their mind. And it's not, it doesn't take a rocket scientist. I'm not a mental health advocate. I mean, I'm not, I shouldn't say that. I'm not a mental health expert. I'm not a psychologist or whatever, what have you, but it makes perfect sense. If your mind as a young adult or young teenager, I should say, is being thwarted by social media, when you get out into the real world, because this report echoes that, you're not going to be able to cope. You're not going to be able to deal. You're going to have a huge problem. So, what this panel is saying is it also wants to go to the state lawmakers and they need to put some restrictions on social media. Yeah. Along with, and you know how I am about certain things, and I got to, when it comes to kids or teenagers and how they're acting and conducting themselves, I got to go back in the home. In addition to them going to these state lawmakers and having some oversight into these how these social media companies or whatever or what have you are running and whom they're targeting, you got to put some blame. You got to talk to the parents also. The parents are going to have to get involved in this, and it's going to have to happen fast because I can honestly tell you, I've noticed a problem or a change in these kids. Um, what they're saying is 78% of teens between the ages of 13 to 17 report checking social media hourly, and 46% say the check is constantly. Now, that's almost double that was reported 5 years ago. That's a problem. That's a huge problem. The addiction to social media with our teenagers is a huge problem. Um, if you're saying, well, hey, they're kids, whatever, what have you. Hey, if these kids are going to social media for any and everything, because that's what this report has came out and said, that they're going to social media, to see how to solve problems, how to the social media craze or frenzy is not only affecting their mental health, it's affecting their social skills also, how they interact. Common thing is sitting down holding a conversation. I've noticed it with my kids. I'm just gonna be honest with you. And what I've said to them, I'm like, hey man, put that phone down. Talk to me. Talk to each other. I think, like I said, you can pass all the legislation, you can have all this oversight from these state elected officials, but you as a parent, you gotta sit down and talk to your kids, make them talk. I can honestly tell you this is very odd and strange to me because I never thought in a million years something as common as carrying on a conversation amongst each other. I've noticed kids can't do that, not unless they're talking about what's on their phone or tablet. That's pretty. That's not a good thing. It's just not. Now the study goes on to say for a habitual social media user, the brain is becoming hypersensitive to receiving social media feedback from their peers. Uh, it's like the junkies. They got to get approval or from those that are following them. Or they got to write a comment and see how many people like or dislike what they're saying. It has set a terrible trend, and more importantly, it's affecting the brain and how the brain handles certain situations. Because also what they're saying is that with this social media, it's not just the likes and dislike. They want these social media companies and these state lawmakers to give some oversight because a lot of kids, and we've heard it with a lot of these active shooters, these young active shooters or these school shootings, they're on social media and they're getting the wrong idea from certain platforms, certain people, as to not only harm themselves, but harm others. So that's another reason why they're asking these state lawmakers, we need you guys to get involved, give some oversight, follow these social media companies, Meta, uh, whatever, what have you, find out what they're doing, find out their algorithms, where they're going, who they're sending these things to on social media, and who they're targeting. Hey, you get no arguments for me about that. You just won't. Um, yeah, a lot of these kids are these political extremists. They've turned into political and social extremists. Uh, like I said, we all know about these school shootings. A lot of times when they go back and they look at these kids' history on the internet, they've been found that they've been on certain sites that quite possibly they shouldn't have been on, that gave them somehow, some way, some type of hyper, as they said, hypersensitive thought process that they should harm others because of their beliefs, because of the color of their skins, because of their sexual orientation, or because of their social reluctance to believe the way they do. So this transfers all the way over also into adulthood. You got some adults that can't even handle social media. Like I told you before, I was on TikTok and I guess I kind of pissed a fella off and he tore into me. So I tore into him also. I mean, I know everybody wants to be heard. I know everybody wants approval. What's the reality of that? As adults, we've been on this earth long enough to know everybody ain't gonna like us. Everybody's not gonna approve of everything that we say. If that's what you believe wholeheartedly, then that's what you believe. Why would you care what another human being says about you if they think that you're good or bad or they approve or disapprove? I could care less. Um, but apparently now we live in this day and age where these teenagers are they feel the need and the compassion to want to be accepted. Not only do they want their voices heard, they want to be accepted also. Now, this is not the first time this has came up. Uh, Matter of fact, right before COVID, I can remember hearing about this, and there was a bill that was put forth after COVID uh, that would have banned social media companies from collecting data. Because that's another thing. What they're saying is that these social media companies are collecting data from these kids younger than 18. Well, of course, that's how those algorithms are formed. They know what you want, what you like, what you dislike. So, hey, they're going to collect this data and send this information out to these kids younger than 18. But the bill that was put before the not just here in North Carolina, but other states didn't go through. Um, I'm not sure where the disconnect is, but for me, I can understand the argument that hey, these social media companies are collecting data and they're sending these algorithms and these posts or advertisement or whatever to these kids that are younger than 18. Yeah, I get it, got it, understand it. But once again, I also got to horn in and I got to ask, where are the parents? Well, a lot of parents aren't really actively looking and observing what their kids are doing on these cell phones, these tablets, these laptops. They just aren't. Hell, a lot of the parents are on these social media sites themselves, and they need the likes. They need the approval. They need the algorithms to see things that they like. It kind of makes you wonder, and it made me ask also, is this an invasion of your privacy? Yes and no. But we know as we go on these social media sites or the internet as a whole, we know no matter how much we turn off those trackers or whatever, we know that we're being tracked and watched and data is being collected because if you can do a Google search for like you want to buy something or you want to know something, when you go back to those social media sites, you start seeing these ads pop up with what you looked for. It's happened to me. And I can remember saying to myself, well, I thought I turned that off, that, that I wasn't being tracked or my information wasn't being gathered. Hey, that's just the name of the game when you jump on these social media sites, even these search engines. Just to, it just is. So I hope this time we can get to a point where we do have some oversight, we do have some legislation, but how much can we place the blame on elected officials and say, hey, you guys got to do this, that, yada, 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 rah, 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 shish, boom, bah, without us as parents in the house monitoring what our kids are looking at. We just have to. At some point in time, we're going to have to do that. I don't want to say at some point in time. It needs to be done. Uh, we all know, like I said, with those active shooters, a lot of times when they go back and look at these kids and they look at these young men and women and they go back and look through their search history, they see some tell all signs, red flags that should have been caught by Ma and Pa if they were being diligent and monitoring what their children were doing. So it's 50-50 for me. Yeah, we do need oversight and legislation. Our elected officials need to get with those these social media companies and make sure they're not just horn in and targeting and sending out all of this stuff to these kids under the age of 18, these young impressionable minds. But also the parents got to chime in. Also, they just do. They just do. They just do. So I keep you guys updated on that. Like I said, there was a bill or two, not just here in North Carolina, but apparently it's going to come back too now because they have some more data, and it's been going on for quite some time. They want these elected officials to get to a point somehow, some way where they start passing these bills and these legislations to let these companies know you're not going to target our kids like this. Uh, Maybe we are. Well, I think we are. I feel safe in saying this. We're going to have a generation of people, young men and women, black and white, or Asian, Hispanic, or whatever, what have you. They can't think for themselves. Small. It may sound crazy, but think about it. One of the basic things we need as human beings is social interaction with others, with other human beings. Can't get it. We have become a society where we think we can get everything from a computer. Hmm. But we've also become the downside of that for me is no human interaction, no communication, no sitting down talking and carrying on the conversation. You can learn a lot from somebody just by talking vicariously, just carrying on the conversation, talking amongst yourselves. Now as an adult, I realize when they had these projects where they used to put us in these groups in school and make us work together on a project. That's a basic, essential interaction we need for our development, for our brain development, our social interaction skills. We got to have it. So I think we become a society where that is going by the wayside. So it's got to stop somehow, some way. Um, Report really didn't talk about it, which was surprising. I think COVID really showed that. It really showed the need for basic human interaction because this report deals with those kids 13 to 17. There's also another report or many other reports that talk about how the ones younger than that in elementary and middle school or whatever, what have you, they have no social interaction. They had no social interaction during COVID, and now they have no social skills. And with this internet, it's furthering that. So there has to be a stop put to it somehow, some way. Just does. So we'll see what happens with that. We will see what happens with that. I'm going to get out of here in a little while, but I wanted to talk to you guys. Uh, Monday while I was doing my podcast, I was here and this announcement came over the PA and it said, "Hey, we're getting ready to close." And I was thinking to myself, if you go back to near the end of that podcast, you can hear him rumbling. And you can see a kind of strange look on my face because I'm sitting here thinking, wait a minute, you guys got another hour. Why are you closing now? So I quickly wrapped up. Man, apparently this is going on throughout the country. Apparently there was a pro-Palestine protest that was coming through, and the staff here were trying to get out before they got here. So haven't really talked about what's going on in Israel and that Gaza Strip with Palestine and Israel, Hamas and Israel. That came about as of October 2nd or 3rd when Palestine breached a compound and killed numerous people, children, women, men. Yeah, they took hostages. And if you've been following, you know that the United States has been actively um, present in the release of some of these hostages. Some have been released, but Israel has made it clear, um, Of course, at first, yeah, release those hostages, but we're not going to stop until we eliminate Hamas. And that is their right. Uh, I think any country in this world we are living in, if they're attacked like that, and they're going to want to eradicate the forces that did it to them. But what happened Monday night, there was no violence, of course, or anything like that. Just it just made me think, and kind of made me wonder also, what kind of world are we living in? Because the thing with why there's a pro-Palestine movement is because what's being said is um, Israel is of course fighting, trying to pull Hamas out so they can eradicate them, eliminate them. But there are a lot of innocent people, uh, women, children, men, families are being uprooted. They're being killed in these attacks. Understandably, I get it, got it, understand. But what did you expect to happen? I got to be honest with you. I don't know if a lot of folks think war is something where, a 1, 2, 3 fire, like the old Revolutionary War. That ain't war no more. I'm not making light of it. I'm not poking fun. That's just not how it's done. Um, I think when Hamas did what they did, Israel had to respond. Not only respond, had to retaliate. They had to start defending themselves, and this is the way they have chosen to do it. Um, do I support any faction that is killing innocent people in the name of freedom or in the name of defense? No, but I can understand where they're coming from. Uh, they didn't pull the string first. They just didn't. So now we have this huge conflict. Um, but if you know anything, like I said, like I always tell you guys, I'm 50 years old. I can remember they've been doing this ever since I was a kid. They've been doing this even before I was born. It's a continuation. Two sides that just can't get along. One is saying this is my land, the other one is saying no, this is my land. You have a continuation. You just do. So I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't support either side. I just think it's pitiful. Like I said, I'm 50 years old. That these two factions, these two sides can't get along. So much so they're killing innocent people that don't have anything to do with it. They just happen to be in the wrong spot at the wrong time. They just do. Um, as far as Hamas goes, you guys pulled the string first. So hey, you get what you get. Just do. Now, many people are saying, "Hey, Israel needs to stop. They're harming those innocent people over there in the Gaza Strip because that was the purpose of this protest. That is the purpose of many protests here in the United States, where if it's pro-Palestine, again, Palestine or Hamas. I'm sorry, I can't say Palestine. Hamas pulled the string. They started. So we're right back where it has always been. Of course, during COVID, this really wasn't going on. There was really wasn't any fighting. Uh, had a pandemic, so there was really wasn't a need or a thought to war. So it appears now that we're out of COVID, it started back up again. And then, of course, you have what's going on in Ukraine. President Zelensky is here has been here in the United States, asking for more funding and support for the war Ukraine is facing against Russia. And of course, those GOP or Republicans in the House and the Senate, they seem not to be swayed. They seem as though they're saying to themselves, "Yeah, we understand your problem, your quarrels, but we still ain't giving no money up until this border is secured." You guys know where I stand on that border security. Secure the border at any and all costs. Secure that border. Um, I just don't see or understand how you can leave your own homeland wide open and then you go try to help and fund someone else to secure their borders from invasion. I'm not saying the U.S. is being invaded, but it is being invaded with that fentanyl. Just is. So secure that border. Cut that. I think enough has been given to Ukraine and Israel alike, but Israel really hasn't been asking for money. They've just been saying or asking at the beginning, the initial start of this conflict, the continuation of what was promised to them from the United States as far as weapons, whether it be missiles, drones, ammunition, or whatever. Ukraine is fully came to the table and said, "We need it, and we need it now. You got to give it to us." Um, Cruel and heartless as it sounds, cut the funding. You just do. You need to cut that funding. At some point in time, Ukraine's going to have to stand up and fight for themselves. If you've been hearing or listening, they're saying Ukraine can't do that. They don't have the money. They don't have the weaponry. Uh, this, that, or whatever. Maybe they don't. But how much more money do they need? How much more money is the U.S. going to send? If you've sent millions or are rapidly approaching billions, and then you're coming back asking for billions, I'm not understanding. Then again, maybe that's me. I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I ain't the dullest one either. Cut funded. Um, like I said, I really haven't talked about this too much. Me personally, I really don't have a need to. But with that, what happened Monday night, kind of felt the need to just put it out there. We'll see what happens with these conflicts and wars, because the war still rages on in Ukraine. Um, like I said, Vladimir Zelensky, he's come here asking. Did I call that guy Putin? I don't know, but he's come, and Zelensky has came, and he said, "Hey, I need some more funding. We're right on the cusp. This is not just a war. This is a fight for a democracy." And President Biden has came out and said, if we don't help out, if those in the House and the Senate and Congress and Senate don't release those funds, it's not going to end well for international democracy. That's going to give Russia a leg up, and they're going to slowly but surely take over. Well, if you know anything about Ukraine, they have some commodities. Maybe he's right, and maybe those that agree with him are right. But I don't think the U.S. should be just giving money or funding like that. You're going to empty your own bank. Heaven forbid something happened over here. Is Ukraine going to be able to help out? No. Uh, it takes decades and decades to rebuild after a war. Uh, they're still going to be needing more funding and resources to help them. So if you're thinking, yeah, they'll win the war and they'll rapidly change the country will be back to where it was before this conflict or war started, you don't know anything about war. You don't know anything about finances or economy after war. Even during this war, it's already been noted the economy has done away with. Folks aren't working. They can't work. They're in a war. It takes decades to rebuild after a war. So, hey, there's no way, no how you can convince me that the U.S. should continue to help fund this war. Then again, maybe the U.S. has money in the bank like that. What do I know? What do I know? I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to skedaddle. Man, uh, certainly is a lot going on. The NFL playoffs are heating up. Like I said, a lot of good teams. They're fighting now. They're trying to hold on to their position or they're trying to get in. And with Draymond Green, man, you got to calm down. You got to take a chill pill, homie. You're going to end up hurting your team. You just saw it. And now with this data that has been released about these kids and this internet and how it's affecting or slowing down their mental growth, and not just their mental growth, but how they view themselves and others because of these social media algorithms. Like I said, it's something we knew. We knew that these kids now in this day and age, they're lacking that social interaction skill, that basic social interaction skill that is needed for the development into adulthood. Uh, it's transcending all races, all genders. It ain't nothing that's confined to one race or one gender. That's everybody. That's everybody's child across the board. You can tell it. You can see it with kids. Like I said, just interacting with them. You just can't. You just can't. So we've got a fight on our hand with that, and also with Israel and Hamas, and then Russia and Ukraine. Should the U.S. continue the support for either side? Time will tell. How much of the bank is going to be empty? I understand the fight for democracy. I understand you standing up and taking up for your allies. But just like you and I were told as kids, some point in time, you got to let your friends fight their own battles. You can't fight it for them. It never works out. They'll always be relying and dependent upon you. And then somehow, some way, you won't be able to defend yourself. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Like I said, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go and skedaddle. Once again, thank you all for lending me your ears this morning. Continue to like, support, share. Hey, get in that comment section. Let me know what you think. Am I right or wrong with this Israel and Hamas war? Am I right or wrong with this Russia and Ukraine war as far as the funding from for both of these wars and conflicts? Let me know. Um, I think a lot of folks need to just sit and relax and think. Uh, Let go of the personal feelings or emotions, because, like I said, what happened October the 2nd or 3rd with Hamas coming in, crossing that border, coming in, it was certainly something that tugged at your heart. And it's certainly understandable that Israel is fighting back and wants to get rid of them because this is a continuous cycle with Hamas and other um, terrorist groups and organizations in that region also, because things are kind of hyping back up over in Syria. The U.S. Naval warships have had to shoot down several drones that was trying to horn in and target and shoot and blow up certain infrastructure, not this infrastructure, well, certain military strongholds and military naval vessels. Okay, the U.S. They targeted some military or militant strongholds or terrorist strongholds. So this is those terrorists in Syria. I believe it's the Houthi firing back. That region has always been hostile and very, very much a hotbed for conflict. Just has always been like that. Well, it's been like that for a while, years, decades, centuries. So get in that comment section. Let me know what you think about that. Well, I think it is something we need to talk about. How much money does the U.S. have to ante up to show their support? Hey, not being a butthead. I'm just asking. I'm just asking. Like I uh, like I always say, I'm pretty thick-skinned. Whether yay or nay, I'm good. I'm not gonna fly off into a tirade. I'm just not. I'm just not. So, hey, once again, thank you all for listening. This is Stephen Cornegay for This Is Just a Thought. A